Story of the day, as you said, is preseason football. There will be tens of thousands of folks over in Northwest Stadium tonight in Landover, Maryland, watching the Commanders and the Dolphins. I'm curious to see what the turnout is like, what kind of energy there will be within the crowd, what the weather holds up, and assuming it's dry over there generally. It's going to be warm. It's an August game, but nighttime, under the lights, fun opportunity. I know just hyper-locally for me, within our ticket group, these are good opportunities for the kids. I know my brother's taking my nephew, my kids and my wife were thinking about going for much of the week because it's just not the same rowdy, all day long tailgating crowd of people that are screaming and cursing and fighting, and you're not shoulder to shoulder. So you kind of get a few seats to either direction of you. So it's more of a family atmosphere. I think it's a good opportunity to indoctrinate, to groom, if you will, some of the children into Commanders fandom. If you can get them out there to watch some football this evening.
Indeed. Weather looks okay, but normal August, overcast, muddy soup kind of deal. But, the forecast changes every 17 seconds in terms of whether it's going to rain or not. But according to the smart people who do it for their gig, it will be dry at game time.
If you are listening to the show all over the DMV on the flagship 106.7, thank you. And, of course, you can watch the show on the 106.7 The Fan YouTube channel in high definition. We are available for you on video today. So however you check us out, we appreciate you. Let's start, though, with tonight's game and with some of our expectations of what we want to see. I get excited for these first preseason games. Now, don't get me wrong. I would prefer to see Jaden Daniels throwing to Stephon Diggs and Terry McLaurin for a drive. But we all know we're not going to see that. And the moment that I saw the intensity with which and the duration with which practice went against the Dolphins on Thursday, I knew by and large most of the starters weren't going to go. I do think Sonny Styles is going to play tonight based on a couple of the comments that Dan Quinn has made this week at the podium. And he never really did actually address who's in and who's out. He kind of pushed the can down the road, a couple of kicks, and then eventually never had to answer to, will the starters play or won't they? But I think Sonny Styles will be one of the biggest, most exciting commodities on the field. For the most part, I think a lot of starters won't go. But this becomes a huge opportunity for the depth guys at receiver, where we're trying to figure out who's in and who's out. Somebody like Antonio Williams might start tonight. Treylon Burks is going to be on the field a bunch. Players like Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane. Lane, I think, is a roster lock because of punt returning. McCaffrey maybe a little less so, but a kick returner who's at a good camp. Really important night for him. Van Jefferson, De'Ami Brown, do they show out? Guys that are ticketed for the practice squad who are way down the depth chart, like Jacoby Jones, who caught a pass last year. 6'4" Jaden Bradley, an undrafted free agent from UNLV. I think you'll see all of those guys. So he gets you, 10, 15 reps, whatever that looks like. And then it's a lot of Sam Hartman. And then you finish the night for a quarter with Ethan Kaliak-Manis. So you see those three quarterbacks. Hartman plays the bulk of the evening. But if you get out there and you're Antonio Williams with Marcus Mariota, what a chance that is to prove that you're ready for more opportunities with starters.
Indeed. The players, and we're going to do the dance where guys that are on the roster fringe make a name for themselves or don't, and we'll prognosticate and try to figure it out. But how many times have you gone, how do they not keep Marcus White, who had 11 sacks in a preseason game? Pretty easy, and he's never heard from again. But yeah, the things that I'm watching are some of the guys you referenced. It is the players that will contribute. Maybe not as frontline starters, maybe not as the plan, but we learn all about what best laid plans are supposed to look like, right? So there are guys that are going to play this year that are playing tonight. I will be watching them individually. I'm not going to judge as much quarterback play. I already know kind of what I got in Mariota. I know the two guys behind him, frankly, in my view, cannot play. It's a waste of an exercise, waste of time for me. So I'm not going to be able to judge receiving grade or, maybe you'll see who's open, guys winning one-on-one. But it's where players are engaged against somebody that's trying to impress their coaching staff.
Right.
Those one-on-one moments, not schemed up stuff, not designed, but there's going to be the whole point of this is to go, can Grant block Darius? And those two guys are going to get matched up. They're going to figure it out.
Well, speaking of can Grant block Darius, offensive line, I don't know who's in and who's out. I'll be really curious to see. Generally, you would either have all your starters playing or not. But because of the injuries and the quirkiness of Brandon Coleman just getting elevated, I could see a world where Sam Cosmi doesn't need to play in this game. So if you're actually redshirting some guys and you're telling some dudes to take the night off, Cosmi's the most likely guy on the offensive line you would do that with.
Best track record, most established.
I want to see Josh Connerly play in this game tonight. I think he needs to play in this game tonight based on not only last season, but training camp has been up and down a little bit for him. I thought the scrimmage with the Dolphins had some very good highs and a couple of lows. So I'd like to see him play. Coleman should be out there. Paul, right now, who is getting pushed for his job, should be out there. And obviously, Julian Good-Jones is going to play because he's only kind of a starter in name right now with the Allegretti injury. So I think the bulk of the left side of the offensive line really needs to work. I don't think you'll see Cosme. I wonder, though, if you don't play Cosme, do you then not play Connerly? Because his running mate is not there with him. Mm-hmm. How does that work? But my hope is you see at least 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen, especially if you're only going to play Mariota for a quarter, like I'm assuming, or less. Why not put the starters out there with him and just get them a sweat to start this thing before they have a real audition and a dress rehearsal, so to speak, next week? Another position that's really interesting to me is running back. So Bill, I would imagine you're not going to see, or if you do, for a couple carries tonight. Rashad White, similarly, not really sure how much you ask of a veteran who you know is going to be on the team.
Yeah.
What's the benefit to that? So the guy, to me, that is the belle of the ball tonight, that is worth watching. And we talked about Sonny Styles, the draft pick on defense, likely to play, based on some of the stuff Dan Quinn has said. I think it's the Kaytron Allen show tonight. Does that mean he gets the 1st and 10 carry to open the game? Maybe not. But I think he's going to lead the team in carries. He should. And everyone keeps asking, like on my social media or whatever, like, how's Kaytron Allen look? You're not talking much about Kaytron Allen. He's never going to be a dude at practice that's going to stand out because he's not particularly fast. He's a big bowling ball. The time that a player like that David Montgomery type player, the plotting player that
the Thunder, yeah,
so long that you haven't enjoyed, like those guys are at their best Sunday at 156. 2:14.
Yeah, they don't win the agility drills. They're not there winning the when guys have those like foam fingers that are slapping at the ball as you go through targets. That's not his time to shine. This is.
So Kaytron Allen's on a short list for me tonight as this is an important player to watch, and I would be surprised if early on with Mariota under center and operating this offense, if Allen's not out there with him, if you've got Coleman and Good-Jones and Chris Paul out there, I want to see Kaytron Allen run behind those guys.
So in general, you know how I feel, but I don't care how offenses are designed and done. I just care about effectiveness. If you're a team that can run it great, you should run it. If you can't run it, don't just run it just to satisfy the dinosaurs that count off rush attempts as means for success. But this preseason, really especially tonight, and really in game number 2, it's the thing I'm most curious about is their ability to have this offensive line, which is now going through some transitions, kind of to your point. Can you maul people? Can you win one-on-one? Do they have interior runs in their bag, or is it just going to be a fool's errand? So that's what I want to see tonight, believe it or not. Again, I'm way less concerned about Cal McManus connecting with some guy that's not going to make the club in the fourth quarter, or Sam Hartman, who I've got a pretty good beat on, I feel like. He's very handsome, but that's kind of the list of attributes that are good for him. I don't really care about that much. The thing that will translate to me to some part of the regular season is, can some of these guys on the offensive line that are going to play this year, can they win their matchup, and can we run behind them? I want to see the running game. That's the thing I'm most curious about on offense tonight.
It should be, because they couldn't run the ball in the scrimmage, in the practice against Miami, really at all. And I would say at practice, it has been a challenge to run the football so far. A lot of the things that I've loved that they've done very well are passing game things. The run game has not looked as clean. I don't know yet, like, if I'm going to have many takeaways. I got to see who plays and who doesn't,
right,
and how long they play. Mm-hmm. In other words, if Brandon Coleman and Chris Paul don't play, and it's Julian Good-Jones in the twos, then I'm not that into the results of this exercise against Miami's starting defense. But if Coleman's out there with Chris Paul, with Good-Jones, and Josh Connerly's out there, and it's everyone but Cosme,
that's going to happen this season.
Exactly.
Right?
That's just basically the second play of the game if Cosme sprains his finger or something against the Eagles. So now the results are going to matter to me a lot more. And we'll make a list of the guys we care the most about, but just bigger picture on offense, it's about the skill group competition, wide receiver, running back. I also hope you guys get to see what I've been raving about from being out at every practice when it comes to the tight ends. Because I think sometimes it just feels like, oh, sure, you're just watching football and you're feeling it. I think there's 5 NFL tight ends on this team. I believe that. Because I think Lawrence Cager can play for an NFL team. He's athletic. He'll catch a ball tonight and you'll go, damn, that looks like a legit player. He's size and speed. Ben Sinnott is, when I say the most complete, the way I've been describing this to people, Danny, Chig Okonkwo's like an 80 receiver and maybe like a 40 blocker, let's say. Cager, you grade everybody. is like maybe a 75 receiver and a 40 blocker. Ben Sinnott's the one guy that's got like 250 grades, but he's probably like 50 at both, if that makes sense.
It does.
Whereas Colson Yankoff's like an 80 receiver and a 20 blocker. And so Sinnott, based on being able to do both, I think is the least of a tell of anyone they have when they're on the field, because he can go out and catch passes, he can block. Bates is more of a blocker. Everyone else is like heavily slanted in one direction. But I do think they have 5 tight ends who are pretty good, and I want people to see Yankoff, who's had an incredible camp. To me, he's got the best hands in the room. And I love Chig, but he's got better hands than Chig in terms of catch radius, like not fighting a football, just athletically bringing a football in. I hope that you see that tonight, because I really think this guy has forced his way onto the roster. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, we got that glimpse of Sinnott years ago that people still reference, like
the Jets game.
Those couple preseason catches where it's catch and then it's rumble. There's a little wiggle, a little bit of Chris Cooley leg shimmy. There's a little bit of thump right through, and you're going, oh my God, how do we unlock that? And then 3 years later, we're hoping that it gets unlocked at some point. But yeah, I mean, this is, to me, is where the league is going. And as everybody goes nickel or dime or some variation all the time, even if a tight end's not an unbelievable blocker, I would take Colson Yankoff blocking 180-pound slot corner over, big on big, or over, a wide receiver trying to do it, et cetera. So you can dictate to people in a little bit of ways, right? Where because he's such a good receiver, you have to go light. Whereas if you have a linebacker, you just check to whatever and you get him the football, because that's a matchup he'll win 99 times out of 100. This, to me, is where the tight end position is going through kind of another renaissance. We had one 15, 16 years ago, and it sort of fell off. And now, to me, it's back in a major way where people are realizing these athletic freaks at tight end are such huge matchup advantages.
I don't have quite as good a feel about the defense, because I only watched the offense in the scrimmage to see how much work everybody got. But I'm just going to assume it's similar on that side of the ball. And a lot of the big boys that everybody's excited about, Kinlaw, Payne, Owe, Luvu, like those kinds of guys don't play, if I had to guess. Jeremy Reeves has been running with the first team at safety. He may go because he's in a competition with Quan Martin, but my guess is you'd see more Martin at safety in this game. And a lot of the entrenched starters like Nick Cross or Mikey Sanristil, maybe those guys don't play in this game. But I think that the calling card on defense will be Sonny Styles. The guy I want everyone to watch tonight is going to be number 48, Joshua Josephs. He's had a really good camp. This is the 5th-round pick out of Tennessee that they drafted. He can play. I don't know what his role is going to be yet in terms of usage and how many snaps he gets. And it's loaded right now at the edge position where he plays, because you've got Owe and Caleb Von Chason and Dorrance Armstrong. But I do think Joshua Josephs can help them. That's what tonight's going to be about, the rookie class. Williams has a chance. If he doesn't start, he's going to play a lot at receiver. Golbin is going to play a ton at center, especially with the injuries they've had there. Katron Allen's going to maybe lead them in carries tonight. You're going to see Ethan Kaliakmanis presumably in the fourth quarter. Styles and Josephs, the 2 rookie defenders, are both going to play a lot. I think Styles is going to start and play a couple drives early, and maybe is the guy on the field that people most want to see in that stadium tonight.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's going to be really, really hard to judge everything, because he's not playing in front of the guys that are supposed to clean up traffic and let him run to the football, et cetera.
Good point. The look is worse for him because you're playing with and around players that aren't quite as skilled while the Dolphins are playing their one.
And I don't mind that, but I always talk about this with the prospect or the guy that's exciting. I just want to see the thing. And the thing with him is the athleticism. I want to see the reason he went 7th overall, and that's he's a better athlete than anybody else that's played that position maybe ever. I want to see him fly around. I just want to see the quickness, the speed, the agility, and him thump somebody. That's it. If he's out of position a couple times, or he's chasing a play, or something happens, people are going to overreact, right? Where it's like, you left this guy open. Or we won't know all the assignments. We won't know it's because, a different linebacker blew something, or a defensive lineman was supposed to occupy somebody and didn't. We're not going to know what we don't know. I just want to see the exciting, or the reason for excitement. And again, that's his athleticism.
Lastly, the kicking competition. This is the most important chapter yet.
Here we go.
You had practice for almost 2 weeks, and in those practices, a lot of field goals, by the way. 48 attempts so far for Stevens and 47 for Moody. And the rookie from Iowa, Drew Stevens, 43 of 48 with a long of 60 that he absolutely crushed. Moody has missed 11 kicks in practice, 36 and 47. So it goes without saying there's no margin for error tonight for Jake Moody. But Drew Stevens, I know, is still trying to figure this kickoff thing out. For a young guy like him, the ask from Larry Izzo on kickoffs is probably what gives you more anxiety than actually kicking field goals.
So that's what I wanted to ask about. It's the hidden part of this, and doing shtick about kicker battles and things. Put that aside for a second. How big a deal do you think that is to them? In other words, let's arbitrary numbers. A field goal kicker might be a 6.5 out of 10 as a field goal kicker, but he's a 10 out of 10 for the kickoffs or the flip.
Right.
Who makes it for them?
I think they care every bit as much about the kickoff part as the field goal part. Like, we focus on the field goal part.
Right.
I think, I'm just making this up, but if Drew Stevens, who's got a massive leg, so when people say, what do you mean he doesn't do the kickoffs well? It's not about the leg. If he just wanted to drive the ball into the seats every single kick, he could do that.
But they don't want that.
They want loft. They want angled inside the 5 of this landing zone, basically. It's very specific and accurate, and you're doing it without really a running start anymore. You're just kind of swinging your leg. So you basically just are trying not to mishit a ball into like a small area. Think about it like golf almost, where it's just an easy swing of the 7 at Top Golf and you're trying to drop it into like the blue target. That's basically what they're doing on this kickoff.
Yeah. And
I know that a guy like Moody with his leg, who kicks every field goal like he's ripping it from 65, even if he's kicking from 29 yards, it's a difficult thing. That is the challenge for him. So while he's not going to be perfect on field goals, he could certainly go out there and miss a kick or two tonight. I think that's the part with him I'm honing in on is how does he handle the kickoffs? My guess is you'll see him handle some early kickoffs tonight because I think they've seen what they need to see from a field goal standpoint, if that makes sense. Moody, by the way, again with the 11 misses, same thing. You got to be perfect on kickoffs because maybe that's how you could get back into this thing.
Indeed.
Is if you go, hey, I'm actually going to let you be the number 1 special teams coverage unit again in the league, which is really important to you.
Yeah. I mean, just to remind folks of the dynamic kickoff rues, right? You kick it out of the end zone, 35-yard line. Teams are not interested in that. They do not want that. That's too much. It used to be, it goes into the end zone. I'm a little teapot or I'm the letter T, and now you get the ball at the 20. They've added 15 yards to that. You're 1 first down away from being in field goal range. That's a huge deal to teams now.
My daughter Reagan got Jake Moody's autograph at practice. She was with all the kids in that area where they, behind the rope, players walk off, and Moody signed her football. And so she's been talking a lot about Jake Moody lately.
Oh, no.
So I just got a text from my wife in quotes. Is Dad talking about Jake Moody? I am. Jake Moody. What I said was, he has a great chance to make the team.
There is a chance for him to do that. Yes, he's in what we like to call position battle right now.
That's what I said,
and they don't keep
sweetie.
2.
Jake Moody. We love him. Okay, Allison, now take Reagan out of the room.
Turn the volume down.
This is Drew Stevens' job. I don't want to tell my daughter, but it's Drew Stevens' job.
But Jake Moody!
Jake Moody.
Jake Moody.
Grant and Danny, here's the question for you guys. 800-636-1067. 800-636-1067. Who are you most excited to watch play tonight, and who are you going to lock in on? Is there a player, a position group that you care the most about? Preseason game 1. I'm pumped up. Football tonight, people. Let's go.